Hello there. Yeah, so today I'm going to tell you about my encounter with the great Archbishop Benson Idahosa the day he went to be with the Lord. Yes, you know what? But before I tell you about my encounter with the Archbishop, I need to give you a little background. So I grew up in the city of Benin, and back in the 80s, even before then, Archbishop Idahosa was a household name. I mean, growing up back in the 80s, like in the primary school and all that. So to be honest, I grew up in the background. I didn't grow up as a Pentecostal, basically. So I didn't like him, and I didn't like him because it was technically inherited. We didn't really like him like that from my home base. We just saw him as this guy that used to say, "My God is not a poor God," looking flashy, all that, driving Mercedes 560. So it was just an inherited hatred or something. So I really didn't like him, but the truth is, something happened that began to change my perspective. And my story about Idahosa cannot be complete without talking about Bishop Wali Ajayi as he now is. Then, as a friend, Wali Ajayi, who we used to be, classmates in primary four back in primary school. And then I think later we met in a teenage camp meeting called Agape Force Camp Meeting. Now we're already teenagers. And I met him and I'm like, wow, I know you. You're Wali Ajayi now. And he's like, well, yeah, a long time, blah, blah. We started talking. And from that first day we started talking, boy, he was on fire. He was inspiring me big time, and I knew that this was somebody I needed to be, close to. And that was it. I was always going around him, and even though we were peers, but I always saw him as someone who was really very blessed, in the things of God. And I really enjoyed his company, and he was one who was really inspiring me back in the days. But I noticed something. Each time he would be talking to me, we would be discussing. He was always talking about Papa, Archbishop Papa said, Idahosa said. He was so into Idahosa. And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't like Idahosa. If Wale likes Idahosa, there must be something about Idahosa because I love Wale and he sounds really good. So that was the beginning of my revolution in terms of my thinking around it. And I was just trying to say, that really happens. There are people that hate other people, not necessarily because they know them or anything, it's just what they hear about them, the kind of impression they have more so with these days with social media and all that. You can actually hate somebody for the wrong reason. And that was it. I started having a change of thought around, you know, and then one day, my friend Wale said to me, okay, if you really want to know more about Papa, just be attending morning devotion. And that was it. I started attending morning devotion till the very day Archbishop left this world. And that's what I'm going to share with you. So the last day I'd attended several and those morning devotions, trust me, they changed my life entirely. I began to see the man in another light. Well, that's a story for another day. But that last day, I came for morning devotion. I had a seat. I used to sit way at the back. But that day, I just heard his voice say, move to the front seat. I moved to the front seat, and not long after Papa was talking, I saw this man's face glowing like, I don't know what to call it. It was just something I can't describe, but he was glowing so bright. There was so much glory upon his face. I couldn't look at it. I'm telling you my experience. The only thing I knew was I just began to cry. I just began to cry and I bent down my head and I was weeping and I was crying. And while I was crying, I was also scared because I didn't want Archbishop to say, you stand up. Maybe thinking I was sleeping in church. So I was there putting my head down, putting my head up, and I'm like, glorious. Is this a human being or a celestial being or what? I didn't understand the whole thing. I still don't understand what that was anyway, but it was just something glorious. That would be the night Papa would go home. Well, I didn't say this to make you think that Idahosa was a spiritual extraordinary. Yeah, he was an extraordinary man. Yeah, but I'm not trying to make you bring the spooky side of it because that's my personal encounter. But I can tell you he was a man sent from God. And one thing stood up in his life. He always used to say, I've preached Jesus for over 40 years. I've added nothing to it. He was a man driven for evangelism, for lost souls, for the cross. He was a man driven for the redemptive work of God, and he added nothing to it. I mean, this is an opportunity. If you're listening to me, you don't know Jesus, this is the time to believe in Jesus Christ and to receive his free gift of salvation. If you believe in him, you will be saved. We remember Papa for so many things, but above all, for the message of the gospel of Jesus Christ and his passion for souls. It is well. God bless him wherever he is, and may his legacy continue to live on. God bless you.